All right, so good morning and welcome to Learning the Zoom Basics. And do you Zoom? Well, yes, you do because you're here. All right, so this morning we're going to take some time and we're going to go over some very basic things about Zoom. If you want to find this webinar at a later time, you can do so by going to the web address that you see posted on your screen. If you don't have time to copy it down, don't worry, we're going to get to it again, and it's also in the chat, so you can always copy and paste what's in the chat and save that for later. My name is Paige Durham. I'm the instructional designer at Germanna Community College. We have a lot of people in the chat helping you figure out what's going on and answer all your questions. So if you do have questions, Forrest Smith from Germanna, David Todd from the System Office, Sherry Prupus from the System Office, and Terry Milroy from Southside, and Aaron Leftwich is also in the chat to help you answer all of your questions. All right, so here is our agenda for the session. We're going to talk about customizing your profile. We're going to customize your personal meeting room settings. We're going to schedule a new meeting. We're going to schedule an audio conference. We're going to talk about Zoom meeting settings. I'm going to show you the whiteboard, but I'm also going to show you how you can use your iPad with an app as a whiteboard, and computer audio sharing if you need to have someone hear the audio that you're playing on your screen. We're also going to talk about all of the ways that you can share your screen or applications. And finally, we're going to talk about the Zoom mobile apps. So now let's talk about customizing your personal profile. You are going to go to your version of the login portal for your college, and you're going to type your username and password in, and then you're going to click on, let me go ahead and do this because this is a step that sometimes I think confuses people. You're going to click on Zoom, and then of the three options, generally speaking, I always use the settings option because it gives me everything, not just join and host. So when you click on settings, it brings you to the main Zoom settings page that allows you to do pretty much anything you need to do in Zoom. So we're going to begin today by looking at your profile. So if you click on profile in the main menu, here's where you're going to find the option to add an image to your profile. You're also going to see your personal meeting ID, and you also have the ability to set a personal link. The rest of this, you don't need to even touch. It is all there for you already, and it tells you that your meeting capacity is at 300, so you don't have to worry about having a full session. So when you are customizing your profile, you want to make sure that you leave everything, like I said, at the bottom as it is, and really you just want to add your picture, and you can also set your personal meeting room link. So if I go over here to customize my personal link, it's going to ask me for my personal link. So for example, if I put in here, I could put my name, or I could put my initials, and then you can see that it will change my personal meeting room numbers to an alias. Okay, so if you wanted to change that, you could. I, however, am not going to do that. So now I have an activity that I would like for you to do. So first of all, I know that you got to Zoom, so I'm not too worried about that. I do want you to go ahead and do a little 2-minute activity that will allow you to go in and put a meeting in and I'd put picture in, and that's where we'll start. Okay, so 2 minutes. Great. I hope everyone was able to get a picture into their profile in your Zoom account. Now we're going to talk about customizing your personal meeting room. We're going to go back to my account and customizing your personal meeting room. To get to your personal meeting room, you're going to click on Meetings, and then you're going to click on Personal Meeting Room. From here, you can see that you have several options. Well, I've already done mine, so I'm actually going to click on Edit and pretend that I didn't. So at the top, you see here you have your personal meeting ID. It does have an option here to change it. I would suggest leaving that alone. You could require someone to always have to use a password to get into your personal meeting room. Again, I don't have that turned on. You can have a choice of turning both the host and participant videos on here, or you can have them, the default is off. The default for audio, however, is for both the telephone and computer audio to be available to your users. The next part is the meeting options. For my personal meeting room, I always enable the waiting room. You do have the option to mute participants upon entry, as well as enable join before host. So those are some options that you can choose to use. Now, it does have the option to record the meeting automatically, which you also could do. And when you do choose that option, it will go to either your choice, whether it records to your local device or to the cloud. So once you've made all your decisions, you're going to click on Save. Now, this is the important part. Once you've done that, you now have a join URL. This is going to be the way that anyone who you want to join your personal meeting room will join. That link can also be found in the copy the invitation. Now, when you click on copy the invitation, it will copy all of this information. However, you truly only need the top portion. This is really all of the meeting invitation that anyone should need. And for students who need to call in, you need to make sure that you leave those mobile numbers there so that they can use that in case they have no way to connect with you either through the internet using a computer or an app. So when you copy that meeting invitation, you could actually put that right into a calendar invite or into a post in your Canvas course. The other thing that I was asked this morning, so I'll bring this up. If you put this as your signature, it will allow someone to join your personal meeting room. However, unless you're going to have your Zoom room open all day with the chime on, you may or may not realize that someone is in your room. It will send you an email, but that email does not go to your it would not go to my Germanna account. It would go to my email.vccs.edu account because that is what's connected to Zoom. So that would be another way that someone could notify you that that they were in your room. But there's no way to register for a time. So my suggestion is that you let people know that if they want to schedule a Zoom session, they just need to send you an email, and then you can send them the link to your personal room. So now let's do a little quick review. So in your personal meeting room, you can change the personal meeting ID. You can turn on the host for video for participant and host. You want to leave the audio on for both, and then you have the meeting options that you can choose that will always be there anytime you ever use the link for your personal meeting room. So for your second activity this morning, please go ahead and click on meetings and make your personal meeting room options the ones that you would like, and I will see you back in 2 minutes. All right, so now on to the fun part. So scheduling a new meeting. Why would you want to schedule a new meeting? Well, you may want to make virtual office hours. You might want to meet with some other people on your team. You might want to have a large meeting with people who are in your discipline from all over. So those are the kind of things that I would suggest using a new meeting schedule or scheduling a new meeting. So let's talk about how you do that. So I'm going to go back over here to my meeting sessions, and we're going to click on meeting again. And now you have 2 ways to schedule a meeting. So if you notice at the top in the far right, you can click on schedule a meeting here. You can also click on schedule a meeting right here. So I'm going to click on schedule a new meeting. And now I'm going to give the meeting a name. So why are we meeting? Let's see. You can give it a description. You can give it you need to pick a date. So I'm going to say this is going to be tomorrow at 11 a.m. It will last an hour. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to leave the option for generate automatically. I'm not going to require a meeting password. I'm going to choose on. I'm going to leave the audio for both. And because I am working in this case, this would be with, I'm going to allow people to enter before I get there. In case they get there before I do, that would be fine. And then I'm going to click save. So now I have that meeting created, and now I could click on the link, copy the invitation, and send that out in an email or an Outlook invite. Or you could send it any other way. Once you copy the invitation, you have many, many different ways that you could send it. When I'm ready to start the meeting, so let's pretend that we fast forward to tomorrow. So I come back to this screen and I know that my meeting is tomorrow, and here is where on the far right I would click start, and then I would start that meeting. So anybody who had that link, that's the place that we would be meeting. So now I'm going to go and show you one other option about making a meeting, because let's say you want to have a meeting that happens multiple times. So let's talk about office hours. So we want to have virtual office hours. And you want to have them for, basically you want to invite all of the sections of whatever class it is you're teaching, and you want them to come at a certain time. So let's start this. We'll say this is going to begin next Monday. Well, I did click on Monday. Yep. And then I'm going to say they are at, they're going to begin at 9 a.m. And I'm going to say they're going to last for 2 hours. And then because this is going to be something I want to do multiple times, I'm going to click the box, recurring meeting. Now, how often would I like this? So I'm going to say I want to meet with these, I want to have virtual office hours twice a week. So I'm going to say weekly and every week. And I'm going to check the boxes for Monday, Wednesday. And then I can either put a due date or end date in here, or I can decide for this to end after 7 occurrences. Again, I'm going to have to choose the options for the video and audio. And because this is virtual office hours, we don't want students coming in while we're having a private discussion with another student. So I definitely would choose enable waiting room. And I may also choose mute participants upon entry. However, that's kind of optional for office hours. So you do have the ability to keep students in a waiting room. And if they are in a waiting room, you will either hear a chime or you will see a notice that is flashing that someone is in the waiting room. You can send them a message inside the waiting room to let them know that you'll be with them shortly, or whatever personal message you would like to add. But you do have to type that out. That's not something that is like automatic. So that's how you would create a meeting that you wanted to happen weekly. Notice that you did have some other options up here. You had monthly, and then you have no fixed time. If you choose no fixed time, now you can use this for virtual office hours for however long you'd like to use it, as well as how many days you'd like to use it, or any other reason that you need to have a meeting that's going to happen over and over again, or the times may change. So you may have department meetings this might be a way for you to do a department meeting scheduling, because you don't know that it may have to change from week to week, but you want everybody to still have the same link. So we have scheduled a new meeting. Again, we talked about choosing, giving it a topic to be very descriptive. You can put in a description as well. Then you want to choose the when, duration, time, zone, if it is reoccurring or not. And then you want to create your own. So if you're going to create your office hours, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to go into your Zoom account and schedule a meeting. Ready, set, go. All right. Hopefully you were able to schedule a meeting and get everything done and decide whether or not you wanted to use it for your virtual office hours. The one option that I did not talk about was your alternative host. So if you wanted someone else to be able to help you within the chat or let people into a waiting room, very similar to what we're doing today, you can list them in the alternative host area. Please make sure that when you do that, you use the same login that they use to get into their portal for their institution. So for me, it would be for MyGCC. So that's, you want to use that plus at email.vccs.edu. Now we're going to talk about scheduling a personal audio conference. So if you think you have a large number of students who are unable to meet with you through Zoom, as far as like screen sharing and things, you still could have an audio conference. Right here at the top, you have the option to schedule a personal audio conference. Now you also see over here personal audio conference, and those are the settings, but I'm gonna skip over here to the schedule. So again, you have the ability to give it a title, choose a time, duration, and then the global dial-in number will let you use any phone to call that number. So when you do that, then you're going to be able, if I schedule this, Forrest has his hand up. And my guess is because I'm on the wrong screen.
That is correct.
There we go. So, well, you know, I was doing good, but that didn't happen. All right, let me go back 2 clicks, and I haven't really gone that far. So here you're going to see schedule a personal audio conference. Again, you see topic, when, time, duration, time zone. Here's the number. This used account 2 settings. You do have 2 different numbers. So if you wanted to use account 1 for one section or one class and account 2 for the other, you could. But when you did that, I highly suggest you put that in the information in the title. And then you click schedule. When you do that, it does give you the ability to start the conference, which you will use your computer audio, and you can also copy the invitation for participants. You can also go back and edit as well. So when I go over here to meetings now, I'm going to see my personal audio conference is scheduled. And I can start it from here or I can delete it. If you look in the personal audio conference settings in the navigational menu on the left, you see this is where you can see which accounts you have. And you can also just start the conference directly from here or copy the invitation. So you do have two different ways to do that. You can, if you know you're going to have a meeting and it's a fast meeting and you know that the person you're speaking with is going to be calling in, you could just come here and copy the invitation and send it to them. Okay, now we're going to keep on going. So now we're going to talk about Zoom meeting settings. So just like you're in a meeting, these are the settings that you have as the host. And I'm going to go over these a lot. So from the navigational menu, you're going to choose settings. So I'm going to click on settings. I'm going to wait just a second. Okay. Now you have meeting settings, recording settings, and telephone settings. I'll be honest with you, I have not had any reason whatsoever to touch the telephone settings. Recording settings, if you want to look at these, you can see that the host can, you can record locally or you can record to the cloud. You can also have some options about what gets recorded. You can decide whether all meetings will record automatically. And again, you have the options to change for your recording settings. Again, I have changed none of mine. Now let's go back to the meeting setting. So here you can see these would be for all meetings that you schedule within your account. When I showed you the schedule meetings earlier, that was for singular. You could change things around for a single meeting. This would be like global. So if you make the setting changes here, they will happen in all of your meetings unless you change them to the opposite of whatever you chose here, if that made any sense whatsoever. Okay, so you have the option to always have your video on as well as your participants. You see here the default is telephone and audio is chosen. Join before host. You can always use your personal meeting ID when you schedule meetings. You can use a personal ID when you start an instant meeting. Only authenticated users can join. That means they would have to have be logged in through their email.vccs.edu account. Require a password and embed in meeting link for one-click join. So notice that this is toggled on so that no one has to enter a password. They can just click on the link and they're automatically entered into the meeting. Mute participants upon entry. And you can also schedule an upcoming meeting reminder that will actually show up on your desktop. So the next options you have are inside the meeting. So here you see that the chat is turned on. Private chat is also allowed. Notice that auto saving is turned off. Play a sound when participants join or leave is on. However, it's only heard by the host. You have the option for file transfer, so you could send files through the in-meeting chat. I have the option turned on to send feedback to Zoom. You can also display an end of meeting survey. So it says here, if the participants respond with the thumbs up, they can provide additional information about what went wrong. Okay, a thumbs down, I mean. So it's basically a thumbs up or thumb down survey. Allow co-hosts. The option for polling is found here. If you choose to turn that on, this is where you would come. Allow hosts to put attendees on hold. So this allows a host to temporarily remove an attendee from the meeting. So you could put them back in the waiting room. Always show meeting toolbar, and then screen sharing, important one here, is who can share. All participants. Who can start sharing when someone else is sharing. You have the option to have host only or all participants. Again, you can actually change that within a meeting as well. So that option you could change if you wanted to while a session is going on. Annotations, we have a whiteboard, remote control, nonverbal feedback. So that's where you see the icons at the bottom of the participants panel. And inside the meeting advanced, you have breakout rooms. So if you wanted to put people into breakout rooms to work together, you could do that, as well as you can pop in and see what's going on while they're working, and then you can kind of pull them all back whenever you're ready. There's remote support, so allow meeting hosts to provide remote support to another participant. So you would that would be actually going into their computer, turned off. Closed captioning and saved captions. This is allow host to type closed captions or assign a participant or third-party device to add them. So Zoom is not closed captioning for you. That would require you to have someone to do that. And you can allow a virtual background. And notice I have all the rest of these turned off. And then down here at the very last part, we have email notifications. So I have an email notification turned on when the cloud recording is available, when attendees join, when a meeting is canceled, when an alternative host is set or removed, when someone is scheduled a meeting for a host. And then the last part is some just other, and I'm not messing with those. All right. So that's a lot of information. So while in a session, so this is going to be a little bit different because it's very difficult to do that while you're actually in a session. So I'm going to use some screenshots. And I'm going to go across the toolbar that most of you see at the bottom of your screen. Some of you may have some additional things, and that's fine, but I'm going to go over the ones that everybody probably has when they first host a meeting. The first thing we're going to talk about is the microphone. So in the microphone settings, you have the ability to mute yourself, select a different microphone, select which speakers you want to hear out of, test for both of them, and then the main audio settings. Now, if you have multiple devices that have microphones and speakers, you're going to want to make sure that you know exactly what each of those is called before a meeting starts. The next icon on that bar is the video settings. If you click on it, that turns your video off. If you click on the caret to the right of the camera, that will give you your options. And if you notice, that's the image here at the bottom. And if you see, there are only a few options because I have two cameras, and then there is a test for both of them. And then you can also choose a virtual background. And then you have the main video settings. So here are the main settings. If you were to click on either audio main settings or video main settings, this is the window that will pop open. I chose video main settings, so this is why the video tab is chosen here. And these are some options that you can change within the session. All of these links will allow you to make session setting changes. The next icon at the bottom is this one, and it looks like a little person with a plus. And if you click on it, a window like this will appear. The first group of contacts that you will see will be anyone in the VCCS. The next is Zoom rooms, and then room systems, and then email. What I use the most in this window is this one right here that says copy URL. So that just copies the web address. So if you need to quickly send someone who is supposed to be in a meeting a note, you can click on that link, shoot them an email, put that in there, and send. Or you could email directly from the email link, however you choose to do it. You could put it in a chat. If you're on Slack, if you have Google Hangouts, you could put it in there. You could do any or all of those things. The next thing you see is manage participants. So manage participants are where you're going to see everybody. So that looks like this. If you click on it, a little side window pops out, or you can actually detach it so it becomes its own little window. And then if you see at the bottom, you have the option to mute all, unmute all, or click on more. When you click on more, you see that you can mute all participants upon entry if you didn't make that selection when you made the meeting. You can also allow participants to unmute themselves, allow participants to rename themselves, play enter-exit chime, put participants in a waiting room, or lock the meeting. The next icon is the little chat bubble. It's right next to the left of record. Oh, you might not see, well, you will see record if you're the host. So you can chat to everyone. You can chat to specific people. Then if you click on the three dots right to the right of everyone or a name, you will be able to change the chat options. The next option is record. The options given here are pretty simple. Either you record to your computer or you record to the cloud. The last icon that you see is the reactions that can be used in chat, which is a clap and thumbs up. What can you share? Everything. So if you notice, this bar looks just a tad different. You still see the chat and you still see record, but now you see I have enabled breakout rooms. So this is where that would show up, as well as polls. But we're talking about the green screen and right in the middle. So we're talking about the share screen. So these are some options that you can share. You can share your screen, you can share your whiteboard, or you can share your iPhone or iPad. The key with your iPhone or iPad is that you must be on the same network. So if you're at home and you're on the same network, then you could share and use your iPad as a whiteboard. Also, if you're showing a video and you want to have the students be able to hear the sound so that you don't have to have them play it later or anything else, you can click on share the computer sound, and you can also choose optimize screen sharing for a video clip. You could share an application. So what's the difference? So if you look on this screen, you're going to see I have Snip and Sketch open. That would be an application, as well as this would be Firefox, Chrome, Outlook, Skype. So all of those are applications. However, if you notice here, it says screen. So if I share my whole screen, I can actually go back and forth between the window that you see and anything that is in the background. And if you notice, there is a slide back here. I'm not sure you can. You also have a whiteboard and an iPhone or iPad. So if you are wanting to share your whiteboard, I'm going to give you how you do that. And I'm going to see if this works. I tested this morning, so I'm hoping that it works. The issue that I'm having and that I had this morning as well is that because I am at work, there are many different networks, and sometimes the Wi-Fi doesn't always connect to the same thing as the computer. My iPad doesn't connect to the same network as the computer. So that's not going to work because my computer is on a different network. But we're going to go on because I don't want to run out of time. So I'm going to skip that. It does work, I promise. So also, you can see that there are some screen sharing options. For example, if you click on the caret here, you can have one participant can share at a time, or you can have a whole bunch of people sharing simultaneously. And then you also have advanced sharing options, which are one participant can share, only the host can share, all participants can share, and who can start sharing when someone else is sharing. Then if you click on the top up here, you also have more advanced options in the screen sharing to choose only a portion of the screen, computer sound only, or content from a second camera, such as a document camera. So after the webinar, go test out your sharing settings so you can figure out screen, whiteboard, iPhone, or application. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is your Zoom on your mobile device. So you're going to go to either the iTunes Store or Google Play, and you're going to find the Zoom app. When you download it, the first screen that you're going to get to is obviously going to be sign in. So you're going to click on sign in. And then when you do that, you're given several options. The key to this is to use this option right here that says SSO. What does SSO mean? SSO means single service sign-on. This is the way that your Zoom connects with your email.vccs.edu account. Now, the next thing you see after you click on SSO is enter your company domain. Your company domain is VCCS. And then the next screen you will see is the one that is, it has My VCCS and it's blue and it has username and password, the same way that you get into Canvas. Once you're in, you're going to see a screen that looks like this, and you're going to see new meeting, join, schedule, and share at the top. And at the bottom, you're going to see meet and chat. Then you're going to see meetings, and that's the center image. And you can see that these are the ones that are already scheduled, and this is the personal meeting ID. So if I were in a location where I wanted to have a meeting with somebody really quickly, I could go to my Zoom app, hit start. If they had the the login ID or the meeting ID, they could click on it and go. From here, you have the contacts, so you can contact someone if you wanted to set up a meeting or send them a note. The next option is your settings, your main settings for the app. Meeting settings, you can auto connect to audio, always mute your microphone. You can see that the options that I have chosen are show non-video participants and show video preview. From there, you can choose on profile photo, so you could add a different photo. You could change your display name. You could put a personal note in, put your job title, location, all of that. And then you can also see that your app has its own chat settings. So your last activity is going to be to pull out your trusty mobile device and find the Zoom app in your appropriate store, download the app, and log in using the SSO option. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. All right. Hopefully everybody was able to get to their appropriate app store and not purchase because it's free, download the Zoom app. All right, so let's talk about what we did. We customized your profile, we customized your personal meeting room settings, we scheduled a new meeting, we investigated the audio conference options, we talked about the Zoom meeting settings, both outside of a meeting and inside a meeting. We talked about what you can share, and we also talked about the Zoom mobile apps. And I certainly hope that you found this session to be worthwhile, and we appreciate you taking time to come and join us. And so now it's time for you to Zoom on and enjoy the rest of your day. If you would be so kind to go ahead and complete this survey, it would be much appreciated of us. The next slide that I'm going to show you will have the link to the website where you can go and find all of the recordings for the webinars and all of the slide decks. Here is that website where you can find all of the webinars. And the last slide is going to be a slide with Zoom resources. Again, you will have access to this slide deck. So you will be able to go through here and see the images and click on the links in the resource slide that is at the end. Thank you all again for coming, and I hope you have a great day. Terry, stop recording.